Hey everyone, it's Wael here, and in this video we're going to be discussing the differences between autism and speech delay. Does your child have autism or speech delay? We're going to be discussing the differences between each and the common things that are happening so you can determine if your child has autism and speech delay. A very quick disclosure here that this is not a legitimate diagnosis, but this is going to help you identify your child's case and to take the necessary actions immediately instead of waiting for the diagnosis to happen, because that can take too much time. So stick around to the whole video. I'm going to be naming 8 things that are different between children who have speech delay and children who have autism. My name is Wael Al-Jardi, and I work with parents who have kids with autism, speech delay, ADHD, and I work with them on a daily basis to help them with the dietary and the training program that they can implement at home so they can help them in developing the skills that are necessary to thrive. So let's get into the topic of today's video. Major problem in kids who have autism is communication, is a social interaction and social engagement problem, right? And the main foundation in communication is eye contact. So if your child has eye contact, if your child has good eye contact, it does look at you, he does give other people eye contact, he doesn't avoid eye contact. So you can see that the eye contact is somehow natural and not basically different than any other kid. So if your child has typical eye contact, then your child has speech delay. But in kids who have autism, they have issues in giving eye contact and holding on eye contact. Although they might maybe give you certain eye contact at a certain time, but sometimes it won't be there. So eye contact is one of those symptoms that you have to track on. The second one is kids who have speech delay will be respondent. So they will respond to your commands, to your if you're asking questions or you're asking for an engagement, they will respond. But kids with autism will not respond to you, okay? And will have difficult times in responding, and they sometimes also refuse to respond, okay? They don't have any hearing issues. That's also very important. Kids with autism, they don't have any hearing issues, although maybe you should test that, but they don't have any hearing issues. They refuse to respond. They're not going to be interested in responding. As for kids who are having speech delay, they will respond. The third point here is they do give some vocal words, they do vocalize at a certain point. So kids who have speech delay, they might say certain vocal sounds, like maybe certain sounds for eating, like buwa, for example, or nana. They might have these words and those vocalizations. But in kids who have autism, they do not vocalize, okay? Even though maybe sometimes they do have certain words, but they're not going to use that and they're not going to be interested in using it. As for kids who have speech delay, they might have some words and they can use it, but their vocabulary and maybe their pronunciation is not proper. The fourth point is kids who have speech delay, they have no problem in grabbing your attention. So they will start seeking your attention, and this is typical with any child, right? They seek attention to adults and especially parents. So kids who have speech delay, they don't have any issues in grabbing attention. So they basically work on grabbing the parents' attention. But for kids who have autism, they're not interested in catching people's attention, right? So they don't really care if I catch my parents' attention or not, okay? Now, of course, that might improve with time. The more that we work with the child, of course, and train them, that would be helpful. So, but generally in kids who have autism, they don't care about the attention. The fifth point is kids who have speech delay, they do connect with others. They do love to engage with others. So if your child is engaging with you, engaging with his siblings, with the father, with other people, if the engagement is well and there, then your child doesn't have autism, he's having speech delay, okay? But in kids who have autism, they refuse the engagement. They don't want to do the engagement. If it's there, it's very minimal, and that's how we start working on improving it. The sixth point is pointing and using signs and gestures. Kids who have speech delay will have no problem in using gestures like pointing towards something, blowing a kiss, using the hand gestures, maybe nodding their head, no, yes. They don't have any problems using those. But kids with autism, they don't use gestures or pointing or trying to communicate using gestures or signs. The seventh point is that kids who have speech delay will play with other kids. They don't have any issues playing with other kids, unless if maybe the other kids are bullying them or judging them because of their speech, so they will start avoiding them. So that's the main difference. As for kids with autism, they will avoid children. They will avoid playing with kids. If they did manage to play with kids, it will be for temporary time, for a short time, and it won't last to the engagement and friendship type of play. So kids who have speech delay, they will play and they will have no problem playing with kids and enjoying having fun with kids. But kids with autism, they will avoid the play overall. The eighth point is basically general perspective on both of these situations. First of all, speech delay is when the problem is in speech. So the child basically, the only difference between this child and other children is in speech. So you basically have to like zoom out from the situation and just observe your child. Is my child basically engaging? Everything is normal, but the only difference is the speech, right? If that's the case, then it's the speech delay. And of course, by the end of the video, I'm going to tell you what you can do in both cases. Then in kids who have autism, they are different in terms of not only speech, but also engaging and communicating, including themselves in accepting to engage with others and basically communicate and grow, right? The last point is kids who have speech delay will be interested in new things, okay? They will be interested in new things, in change. They don't have problem with change and they don't have any difficulty in choosing things that are different. But kids who have autism, they somehow shy away from change, right? They don't want to change. They don't want to take that step forward, that challenge forward, and they're not interested in new things, okay? So these are the points here about the speech delay and autism. Now, to work on both of these situations, if your child has speech delay, definitely include him more into the conversations. Make sure that the vocabulary is there, because if there's no vocabulary, then your child will not be able to communicate in the things that he knows about or she knows about. So making sure that the vocabulary is there and making sure that the practice is there. Okay, so the child needs practice, needs more engagement. Many parents tell me about the TV, like TV is good. I think TV is bad, it's not good for speech delay because there's no engagement, and communication is basically a two-sided thing. Okay, TV is going to just give input. We need real engagement, so always keep the child engaged with the family, with the siblings, talk to the child, communicate with the child, bring in new vocabulary. Storytelling is amazing, and just put in as much as you can communication and expect good communication back, okay? As for kids who have autism, then the situation will be a little bit different. We do want to include a full assessment to see what is the child really dealing with. Is the child having any problems in the gut? Are they having any problems in the skin? Are they having any inflammations, any health problems that are physically apparent? And do they have any constipation, diarrhea? Do they have seizures, all that stuff? So if they do have these physical health problems, it's always wise to change the kid's diet, even if they have speech delay. So the diet is going to help them definitely. So the first thing that we want to work on to address is the dietary change. And the dietary change is going to be including a lot of the protective food, raw milk, raw dairy, good quality meat. We create a healthy food, cutting out all the processed food, and that will create more stability in the body. Like it will heal the body and nourish the body, so the child will become more open and more aware of the surroundings. Okay, the child will start having good sensory input, because in the past maybe the child would have sensory problems, and now we're strengthening the sensory system, the nervous system, and we're strengthening the lymphatic system, the immune system. So the child will become more open to basically learn new things, to challenge himself, and not be too overly sensitive or having these sensory problems affecting his development or her development. So the most important thing is the diet, and then we start including the child in more specific trainings, and these trainings are going to be specific and targeted on fixing these foundations of development. Now, the foundations of development is thinking, right? The mind is what develops, and the mind develops through thinking, and thinking develops through language. So we think through language. So we want to teach the child how to think with language, and we want to teach the child language. Now, many people misunderstand autism as being like there are kids who do not understand. It's not the case. Kids who have autism can understand very well, and they can catch the language, and they just need the proper foundations so they can start communicating. And when these foundations are established, like the eye contact, like being able to respond to the parents, the child will start creating more engagements, more connections, more conversations, and therefore the child will start practicing and including these practices in the day-to-day conversations with family and siblings, which will start increasing the confidence, and then the child will start letting go of that refusal to change, refusal to accept new things, which is basically the symptoms of autism. And the child will start having less and less severe autism, and then the child will start engaging more and more. Okay, but most importantly are the foundations, as we mentioned, the diet, and of course the building the foundations, which is the communication at home. We want to start with the home always, always, always. So it's a lifestyle change. We cannot expect like to be having a session or therapy or a supplement that will work on this. So it's not going to work like that. We're going to have to engage a full lifestyle. And of course, it's going to start with the parents at home. Okay. So there's a link down below if you want to schedule a call with me. It's totally free. Just let me know your thoughts on the comments down below. What other videos would you like me to talk about? And yeah, see you on the next one.